Hello all, welcome to Off the Wall Movie Reviews. I'm Aubrey, and today we'll be discussing the film Into the Forest, directed by Patricia Rozema. This movie is about two sisters who learn how to survive on their own in their home that's secluded in a woodland area after a huge power outage. Our film starts with a shot of a young lady out of focus in the middle of dance. In this quick segment, we learn a little bit about our two leads. One sister who is heavily disciplined in the art of dance. Another sister who is focused on her academics, but also shows that she has a bit of a social life. As we dive a little deeper into their daily activities, we learn through a television broadcast that their area is experiencing a large power outage. We see, through the advanced technology that they're using, this takes place in the not so distant future. As Eva dances in an empty room of the house, and Nell sits in front of a monitor engrossed in her studies, the power goes out. Eva, Nell, and their dad Robert then go a few days without power before they venture off into town for some supplies. I always found it fascinating how some people prefer living in an isolated area because in case of an emergency, you have to go that extra mile, pun intended, to get help or retrieve whatever it is that you need. I mean, it sounds ideal for someone that's, let's say, a survivalist, but anyone who lacks that skill, I can only imagine it's a nightmare. So based on some of their interactions in town and back, we start to see that some people are becoming more desperate. While back at home, something happens that leaves Nell and Eva to fend for themselves. As time passes, tension starts to build between the sisters. They find themselves struggling to weigh the situation, prioritizing what's more important. Eventually, they get a knock on the door, and it's Nell's friend Eli from town. He became worried when Nell stopped visiting the city and wanted to come and check in on her. He gives Eva and Nell an update on what's going on back in town, the status of the townsfolk, and how they're struggling. Eli then mentions a rumor about how things are starting back up in the east, how electricity is back on and there's no looting happening. He suggests walking to Boston, where they could find power, food, and jobs. Now this dude is talking about an 8-month hike to another city with the hopes of finding a functioning civilization. Man, that is a huge risk considering they don't have any survival skills. I mean, this guy just said that he's learning as he goes. That doesn't sound very promising to me. We can hold up somewhere. With the rifle, we can hunt. I'm a fast learner. Sir? No? As time goes on, the girls have now gone half a year without power. They're starting to use what they have at their disposal to soak in information, learn how to live off the land. Being isolated in this woodsy area comes with its challenges and dangers, which goes on full effect. Eva and Nell go through some traumatizing things that puts them through the ringer. They work hard at sticking together through these trying times. This film was a really heartfelt journey that took its characters through a difficult and at times unpleasant experience. The ugliness of human nature in this world was offset by the majestic scenery that was presented. The camaraderie between our two lead characters kept me invested. I wanted to see them persevere. As we all know, life is difficult. We're sometimes thrown through hurdles, and it's amazing to see people overcome obstacles. Even though this movie represents that on a much grander scale, it is still breathtaking to witness people press on, show resolve, and inspire others to be the best version of themselves that they can be. When it comes to the cast, Ellen Page as Nell felt youthful. She portrays an angsty teen very well. To see the edgy personality soften and grow as the movie progresses was a sight for sore eyes. Evan Rachel Wood as Eva brought a more rigid character to the fold. She began as someone that's a bit of a stick in the mud, but then starts to break down walls and becomes more expressive. Listening to her share her insight on life was intellectually exhilarating. The cinematography was complemented by the location of filming. The forest foliage was a gorgeous sight. The abundance of greenery enhanced the film visually. The score was beautifully woven in at very impactful moments. These auditory cues, synced with the emotionally heavy scenes, brought out a strong sentiment for what I was watching. I found myself craving more of an interaction with the world outside of what we were immediately shown. We were teased with ideas of what was happening to others elsewhere, but was never really rewarded with more world building. My reasoning for this was that there was a more focused and contained story that wanted to be told. One that was passionate, violent, and uplifting. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie and recommend giving it a watch. On a 5-star rating scale, I'd give this movie 4 stars. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed this discussion. If so, click that like button and subscribe. You have a good one.